another exciting episode of Mulligans. I'm Scott Stiles, and this is my lovely, gorgeous wife, Shannie Stiles. And we're here to bring you another exciting segment of Mulligans. And tonight's segment and topic is about...
Goals.
Yes, I know. No, I just wanted you to say something there.
So, okay.
First of all, we have 2 episodes out, and it's growing every time, so please like and share it. And thanks to our first 2 guests, which the first guest was just Shannie and I, then Luke Barnwell was just released this past week, the head coach of Sunrise Christian Academy. We have many more exciting guests coming up here in the near future, but we're looking forward to this episode of Goals tonight.
Yeah,
fire away.
I also want to kind of point out that we're just starting this podcast, so we're working through some technical glitches and working with new technology. Hopefully we'll get the sound right for you. It's going to take us a little while, but just bear with us because we're going to bring you some gold. Goals. Okay, so let's get into goals. The funny thing is, I was wondering, Scott, I think this is a perfect time to have this conversation about goals because I was thinking about it wasn't long ago that everybody was making these New Year resolutions.
Right. And things that last maybe 3 or 4 weeks. I talk to people at work or on the golf course wherever by God, starting the first year, I'm going to stop smoking. I'm going to go exercise 4 days a week. I'm going to lose 15 pounds of this and this and this and this. And those guys are in there today eating cheeseburgers and hot dogs.
Exactly.
And they're smoking like chimneys and everything else. So, a lot of people have different goals, and it's hard to follow through with those goals at times.
It's funny because only 55% of the New Year's resolutions that are kept, 11%, they keep them for 6 months.
Guilty.
14% are 3 months.
Guilty.
19% is a month.
Guilty.
And 11% is less than a month.
Yeah.
So I think it's perfect timing because we have good intentions and we want to do what's right.
Right.
However, sometimes we fall out of habits or we don't do it long enough to create a habit. Right.
Well, exactly. And, last year, like we set a goal, we were going to lose X amount of pounds. And we did a really good job. 5 days a week, sometimes on Saturdays, we were walking 2 miles every morning at 5:30, this and that. And, when the cold weather hits or it's pouring down rain, you hear thunder.
Excuses.
You're like, we've done pretty well. We'll make up for it, and it's things sidetrack you on your goals. They do, and it's
if you aren't focused on it, you're
right.
100% correct.
Anything can sidetrack you if mentally you let that sidetrack you.
So, what I think is really important is having a vision, because in order to follow vision, you have to set goals, right? Rosabeth Moss Cantor said, "A vision is not just a picture of what could be; it's an appeal to our better selves." A call to become something better. And I love that because it reminds me of one of my mentors, Ed Milet. And he always says that he imagines himself going to heaven and coming before God and God having this person standing next to him. And that person is who God created him to be. And his fear is that he won't recognize that individual. So he's constantly pushing himself and pushing to become the individual that God created him to be. So I think it all starts with a vision. And that's sometimes the hardest thing for me is to know what that vision is.
And see, me being an athlete in the past and a coach, we always told our players, visualize you scoring, visualize the play, visualize you being successful, visualize. And when I was coaching and calling plays, I had to visualize that this was going to work, or I had to visualize the next play before I even called the previous play of where I'm going to be at. And so visualization and being visible or visual in my thought process has always been ingrained in me. I had to, when I played quarterback in high school and college, I had to visualize where everybody is supposed to be. I have to visualize where the defense is. So visualization. Yeah, visualization. It's tough here. And I haven't even been drinking. is always been a concept of mine.
Yeah. And so let me ask you a question, because success leaves clues, and one of the common denominators that I've seen in very, very successful individuals is the way that they visualize. And you named a lot of things that are important, but what I've found from them, the most important visualization, now I'm messing it up. The most important way that they can visualize this is to see the mistakes that can happen and to actually visualize how they respond, not react, and what they will do in this case. And I wish I would have known we were going here, because there's this wonderful story about a football team, and they're in the Super Bowl and they get to the very end, and stress. I can only imagine it's like really, really high, right? And the tension's high, and this colossal mistake is made. And the next thing you know, the team completely turns it around, and it's all because of their quarterback. And when he was interviewed later, he said, because I had seen this already happen and I knew exactly how to respond.
Well, and that's what I was getting at. You always don't want to come down to a last kick or field goal. And I'm sorry, this is getting sports oriented here, but
everything in my life is sports oriented.
But no, you want your kicker to visualize it going through the uprights. Right. You want I don't want my kicker going out there to kick a game-winning kick for the Super Bowl like Butker did for the Kansas City Chiefs this past year. And hey, did you visualize? Well, no, I had a bad dream last time. I missed 4 in a row. You don't want that mentality going out there. You want to say, yes, coach, I nailed every field goal I dreamt about last night, or I just visualized balls coming off my foot good, whatever. And that's with anything.
Right. So let's say that they did have that dream where 4 in a row didn't go in. I think it's important that they follow it up with a plan how to turn that around. Just like when you golf. What do you do when you golf and you're having a bad day?
I make a phone call. I get reset. That's what we do.
Yes,
we get reset.
You get reset.
I make a phone call and get reset. And Coach Shannie talks me out of the tree before I jump and gets me back focused down the fairway.
And it works great because your back nine is almost always better than your first nine, right?
Yeah, especially when I'm in a tournament. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's because you've been there before. You know what works. You know when you talk to me that you can turn it around and you can focus on what you've done well before in the past, not what just happened, right? It's the same thing, I think.
Well, and it's all about positive thoughts too. Goals are positive thoughts. If you set goals and you're not positive about them or feel really good about the goals you set, and goals shouldn't be.
Oh, you have to believe.
Yeah, you have to believe it, and
you're right.
And also, some goals are meant to be obtainable, and some goals are so far fetched that you just want to grind every day and get as close as you can to those goals.
Yeah, and those are usually the goals that if you don't reach that goal, you're still winning.
You're still growing.
Exactly, because you've grown so much from here to here.
That's what we've done the last 3 years.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, most definitely.
Absolutely.
I mean, we've missed a lot of our targets, but we're so much higher than had we just set a reasonable goal.
Yeah, the last 3 years we set goals, which we've, for the most part, have obtained. But then also we set these outlandish, I'm not saying outlandish goals, but goals that you really have to have everything fall into place to get close to that.
Our last vacation is one of those.
Yeah, and we, by the grace of God, have obtained, and it's just truly incredible if you have the proper mindset and keep your head down. Don't listen to the chatter of denial because we've heard from people and even friends say, "Oh, you guys can't do, or you don't want to do that, or this and that."
You are so jumping ahead of my schedule. I got that in there.
Oh, did you?
Yes,
okay.
I did.
Well, I'm sorry, but I'm just thinking here.
Yeah, no, I think it's really important that we talk about all these things. I also want to give a very clear outline as to how to. Yeah, sorry about the dings in the background. I also want to give a very clear outline for people how to achieve this, right? And goals could be a million different things. You could be talking about goals for your career or your current staff or your environment. You could talk about relationship goals. It could be goals to lose weight or buy a new car, live in a new house, a new boat. Goals are there are so many areas of your life that you could set goals.
Or also other things, you're in a mountain of debt. Goals to gradually get you out of debt.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a growth. That's a growth too.
Yeah, we used that as a goal. What was it? 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
And then, life throws you some curveballs. We have a lot of medical bills. We had a lot of stuff come up, and so now we're back on that goal because we achieved it the first time. And I never ever thought, I never dreamt in my lifetime that I'd be driving a car that's paid in full. I'd be, we'd be debt free, and that's such a great feeling when you reach that. So when you're setting a goal, I believe that you need to ask yourself two questions, right? The first question is, why is this important to me? Because when times get hard, and I promise they're going to get hard, or like on the mornings that, that alarm goes off early in the morning and you're going, get out of bed. And I just don't want to get out of bed. I have to go back to my why. That is what's going to push you through, and that's what's going to make you do what it is you say you're going to do. So you've really got to know why
And one
you're doing
thing,
something.
and one thing I want to make to clarify is that when you set goals, you really want to set them as a couple. Now you can have your individual goals, but your couple goals, because there's going to be times where you may not have the same thought process or the same feelings as far as goals, and that can cause a ruckus amongst you.
That
And
can cause almost a divorce.
well, I can, but
We've
no,
been there.
but no. I'm being
You have to
honest.
be on
Yeah,
the same
you
page.
have to be on the same
Yeah.
page and heading the same direction. Especially when it comes, because how many times have we heard, well, they're getting divorced? Why? It was over money, or how many? They're
Yes.
getting divorced. Because they just what's the word I want to use? Oh, he
Irreconcilable differences.
well, no, not that. It's just he just took it, or he or she just took a different change of path of what their
Yeah.
vision was in life. Midlife crisis or whatever
Or
it may
maybe you
be.
hear they're lazy, and it's not that they're lazy, it's just that their goals are different, right?
Yeah.
And they have different dreams, and they're going for different things. I agree 100%.
Yeah. So just make sure that you really communication and talking about your goals as a couple, as a team, are very, very important that you're on the same page there.
I agree. The second question I believe that's so crucial to ask is, what will I need in order to achieve this goal? Vision, there's a quote, and it goes, vision without execution is hallucination. And it's so true, because if we don't have a plan, and if we don't see where we're going, we'll never get there. Think of the vision as your path that you have to travel in order to get to your destination. This is all a journey, and honestly, we'll probably never ever get to our final destination until we die, of course. But we always set goals, and we always set higher goals than the last goal in order to get there, right?
Well, that's how you get the growth. I mean, if you've just keep setting goals that you've already obtained, what's the period? You will not grow.
Yeah.
You'll stay flatline, and it'll get stale, and then your motivation goes away. We just took a wonderful vacation to the British Virgin Islands, which we never thought we in our
Yeah.
lives would be able to afford, and we took people with us. Took the kids and some friends, and we had a wonderful, wonderful time,
Chartered a sailboat.
and did a lot of fun
Yeah.
things. But it's the goals we set and the hard work we put in to obtain those goals.
What happened right when we got back? We weren't even intact.
Yeah, we were in Shannon. We weren't home 8 hours, and we were literally putting clothes away and suitcases away that evening. And she goes, "Hey, do you care if I go?" Or we talked about our next trip, and then you wanted to plan a trip, which is you're going in a couple
Yeah,
weeks,
couple weeks.
And
Two weeks.
I literally turned my head and said, "Can we get this trip unpacked first before?" And she goes, "No." She goes, "I want to set our next goals," and that's what we did. So I think in April we're going to Puerto Vallarta, and
Yep. So the good book states, without vision, people perish. And I really think that's a part of it, is setting those goals, having a grand vision, setting the goals in order to be able to accomplish that and live that vision out. But I don't believe that happiness is found when, like, happiness wasn't found when we were in the British Virgin Islands.
No.
I mean, it was very fun. We loved it. We had an amazing time. But had we come back and gone, okay, that's it, we'd be pretty miserable right now because we all have to work towards a certain goal. If we don't have goals, life becomes very mundane, and you start focusing on, well, what is this all for? What, is this it? Is this all there is to life? I did read somewhere that when, like, the individuals that break the world record, or do Super Bowl several times in a row, or whatever that accomplishment is, when they hit that, a lot of them spiral out of control.
I've been blessed to recently been appointed to a couple of boards, and you can turn it off now.
I'll turn it off.
And I've been blessed to recently be put on a couple boards, and it's all goal oriented driven. You have nonprofits; they have certain goals they have to obtain to contribute to charities and to cover salaries and to be able to create the dynamic that they have developed as far as giving out to the less fortunate and take care of children and this and that. And without those goals, there is no opportunities to help others.
That's right.
So there's a lot of different nonprofits and charities that set goals every year. And when I think of those guys, sometimes I think of the big thermometer. Remember back in the day when the muscular dystrophy or whatever had the big thermometer, and you'd see it rise, and that's there's nothing wrong with you personally having a flow chart like that, or a thermometer with, we're going to hit this level and we're going on vacation. We're going to hit this level and this will take care of the kids' of graduation high school, or this level and it'll take care of retirement or college, anything.
Weddings,
Our little Susie's getting married in 1 year. Let's set a goal.
Yeah.
Let's put this much away each month and this and that. So there's a lot of different ways to take care of a lot of different needs by setting goals.
There is. And you know what? Another thing that I've learned is when we want something badly enough, we find a way to do it. I mean, think about any parents of the bride. Well, they can live paycheck to paycheck throughout the year, every single year, but when their little baby girl gets married, that's probably one of the largest.
Sky's the limit.
For a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
For a lot of people, I mean, it's like buying a house in one setting, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
But they find a way.
They do.
Because their why is strong enough. There's enough meaning behind it to get it done.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about a couple of goals, right? When it comes to those questions. So let's say that someone wants to own their business, and they say that, they answer the first question, why? Because they want their family to have the best possible lifestyle. Maybe they came from a family where it was a struggle to do anything, and maybe they just had to fight for every single thing that they earned. So they want to set this goal to be able to set their kids up, right? The next step is, if we go back to the steps, it's what will I need in order to achieve this goal, right? Well, maybe they're going to have to educate themselves on the industry. Or what other things can you think of? I mean, they might have to get a mentor. Like when I purchased the insurance agency, I had a mentor, Bill Mole, and I had several mentors actually, because I knew nothing about what I was getting into. I didn't know how to be a business owner. And so that was very important to me, right? Budget the time with family. When it comes to being a business owner, you could easily lose your family because you're not thinking of those things.
Well, it's all about, I know goals can be set in so many ways, because with me, it's all about my portfolio networking, the people that I surround myself with, the people I have lunches with on a weekly basis. I feel comfortable enough. They've been successful in their own fields, even not necessarily my field or the insurance field or whatever, but they've been successful in business development or growing a business or finding reliable employees, because finding people to work these days is so tough to do. So I meet with a group every other Thursday, and we talk for over an hour about a wide variety of topics because we all want to hit our goals within the companies we work for, the organizations we work for. And, it's always good to have a good, strong nucleus around you of successful people that are successful in different entities throughout Wichita or wherever you're from, throughout your town or company, everything. I'll say this is that, when I was coaching, I always wanted to hire and surround myself with people that were better than me.
That's right.
Yes,
Yeah.
because then I could focus on, and they could focus on things that I wasn't good at. And
Well,
it
and
always made
proximity
you
is
stronger
power.
as a team. Yeah, exactly.
When you're around,
You have to swallow your pride to do it, though.
That's right. That's right. When you're around individuals that are more successful than you want to learn, right? Goes back to success leaves clues. You want to learn from them. How did they get where they are? What did they do? How did, and either you rise yourself, you start to grow and you start to become that individual, or you find another group that isn't doing as much.
Right.
Right. And I don't want to be the highest one on the totem pole. I want to be the low man on the totem pole because I can't learn when I don't have others who have exceeded what I've succeeded at. Right? Does that make
Well,
sense?
I'll give you an example. Andy Reid. They always call it the Andy Reid coaching tree. How many players or coaches that were underneath him that he hired that have developed and now successful head coaches in the NFL themselves. Multiple of his assistants have gone to be head coaches and coach in Super Bowls. You find good quality people, you grow as a team, and then you set them free and let them set their own standards. And I think that's what we do with our kids. We set the standard of what.
That was so hard for me.
What's that?
Setting the standard and then backing off and allowing them and letting him know that we believe in you and we know you can do that, because I wanted to just give it.
Yeah, and I think also with the education of college and everything growing, so I've been thinking about this. There's nothing wrong with setting your child down, your daughter, your son, if you're paying for your grandson or your nephew, whoever it may be that you're helping with college. You have a right to say, we need to set some goals here. We're not going to party on whatever street, in the Little Apple in K State, or if you're going to KU in Lawrence, we're not going downtown to party every night. We've heard so many stories from our friends. Oh yeah, we sent our kids to school and they all they did was party and this and that. Because there's a lot you're investing your time and your money into somebody you believe in, and there's nothing wrong with setting those goals and standards that they need to follow.
I agree 100%. So let's say that somebody's looking to, it could be lose weight, or they're looking to maybe buy a house or something like that. There are some really important questions that you can ask yourself. Well, that you need to ask, right? The first one is, what do I want? And when you ask this, you want specifics. You don't want general, I want a house. Well, if you ask that, you'll get a house, right? Um, One of my mentors always talks about how if you say, I just want more money, I want to have more money. Well, I can give you $1. You've got more money. Is that going to be really what you want? So be very, very specific when it comes to these goals. That's the first thing, is just nailing down exactly what you want, right?
Absolutely.
The second thing is, how often do I need to do certain things? What am I going to give up in order to get this? There have been some goals that I have set that it's caused me to give up time with my family, and vice versa. You've had some that right now you've got some pretty hefty goals, and tomorrow night you'll be at board meetings and you're not as home as often, but that hasn't been hindrance on our relationship, because first of all, we're on the same page, Second of all, we just learn to balance it differently, and we've got in, date nights in order to make sure that relationship doesn't falter. But there are some things that you're going to have to do, some things. For example, let's say that you're wanting to lose weight. Well, you might have to stop eating certain foods, right? You might have to throw away all that junk food in your pantry. You might have to get an exercise regimen going and start exercising. Um, Honestly, it comes back to your identity. You're going to have to change your identity from a couch potato to an athlete. You joke all the time about being an athlete, and
An elite athlete.
an elite
Let's
athlete.
get that
Yes,
right.
elite athlete.
Yeah.
And I've adopted that now. I've said, if I'm a Styles, I'm going to be an elite athlete. And just by doing that, just by having that mindset.
Let me clarify something. I'm not truly an elite athlete. I may at one time have been pretty good, but it was funny after I came out of cancer and I started getting better. She goes, God, God has been so good to bless us. And I said, plus, you forgot you married an elite athlete.
It's always been our
and so that's kind of been our tongue in cheek thrive for success is that we can do anything not only through Christ but also because we're elite athletes.
So,
Yes, right.
but it's really important because my identity before I met you was I have no balance. I've got zero coordination. I'm not athletic at all. But yeah, that was always my identity. I could never do those things. Well, throughout the time, I've realized I married into this family of sports fanatics, and I'm going to have to become one, right? And I became one a little different than they do. Like, it started with what? I went to the gym one day a week. I got a personal trainer. I went to the gym one day a week because that's all I could do. And once one day a week was like no big deal, then I added in another day. So I go to my personal weights trainer twice a week, and then that started becoming a lot easier. So now I'm up to 3 days a week. Now I have a Pilates instructor that I go see. But it's really important to know where you're starting and then take bite size. It's okay. Maybe it's just put on my gym clothes today.
And it's also okay to fail.
It is.
It is.
It is.
But you don't want to succeed every time. You want to have those bounce backs where it's going to make you more determined, or it's good to challenge yourself. If you had a bad day or a failure that day, don't throw away the goal. Just up it, get fired up the next day and like overcome what you experienced the day before, and don't let that happen again. Remember that I always said losing creates a monster if you're goal oriented and you're determined, because losing is such a bad taste in your mouth. And if you're competitive in any fiber of your body, if you have any competitive fiber in your body, you will bounce back the next day, and you will not want to experience that same thing again.
When you say that, it takes me back to when the kids were in high school and they were back-to-back state champions. And one year they were undefeated. And that's probably the worst thing in the world that could have happened to them.
Absolutely it is.
Because when Parker reached a senior and he lost that first game, he didn't know what to do with losing. Now he learned and they made it their fuel to get better. But if you're always winning and things come too easily, that's not a gift, I don't think.
No. It's that's why in the NFL since 19, I believe, 72 or something like that, there's only been one undefeated team in the history of the NFL, and that's because one, it's hard, and two, it's okay to lose. You need to humble yourself once in a while. It's called being humble, and sometimes we all need humbled. I know I have. I'm very blessed when I get humbled because I know that feeling, and it ignites me again.
Yeah, I agree. And then the final thing is, ask yourself how many, let's say that you're in sales and you're trying to earn more money. Maybe how many quotes a day do I need? How many phone calls do I need to make? If you're looking to gain some muscle, how many reps do I need to do? You need to calculate. The current owner of the agency says, do the backward math, right? If I want to be here, how many of these do I need to do in order to get to here? So it's really important to take just a few minutes to make sure that you have that path completely visualized.
I've never done this, but my wife believes in this, and maybe this is something that can maybe help you as well. Is that create a vision chart?
Oh, vision boards, yes.
Yeah, vision board. Sorry,
Yeah, no,
but
you're good.
but create those and walk by that thing every day. I know Shanny does, of what you want to accomplish that year. And just picture that in your mind when you go to work every day, or you think, oh, I'm gonna take this day off and take a rep off or whatever you want to call it. Just those vision boards can really help you, because when you stay home one day, or you don't get the reps in one day, or somebody else is doing those reps and beating you to the punch, and they're gonna win the day. So win every day with your goals.
The beautiful thing is that once you ask yourself these questions, your journey's already began. You've already started. The momentum is there, and these questions start that momentum, and it gets you going to be able to achieve it. When you're looking at yourself, though, it's really important to see things the way they are and not worse than. So what I'm talking about is know where you're starting from. Because let's say that you're planning a trip to California. You need to know what state you're starting from, because we can't take directions from New York to California and make it there unless we're in New York. So the path might be different. For example, someone that might be wanting to buy a house. If you're starting in a pile of debt, well, then you've got some steps to do that someone who's been saving for the past 3 years for a down payment from where they're at. But it's okay. It doesn't matter where you're starting at. Just know where you're starting so that you can be successful and that you can get that path really lined out perfectly.
Yeah, it's one of those things where documentation is a key as well. Always follow up. It's always good to read your goals periodically.
Yes,
Don't lose
daily.
don't
I
lose
like it daily.
don't lose sight of them, is what I'm
Yeah.
getting at.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. Um, have a detailed vision. We talked about this earlier, painting a picture. Vision's the art of seeing what's invisible to others. And when we think about a vision, so there are a couple of people that really jump out in my mind. The first one is Martin Luther King's.
I have a dream.
Yes,
Mhm.
exactly. I actually had to read what that speech was and what he said, and I'm going to share it because
Fire away.
we all know that I have a dream, right? But we don't. Not all of us remember what it was. So he said, I have a dream that one day even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by their character. I mean, how detailed is that? I can only imagine Martin Luther King could just see this world that he wanted to create in his mind. And he knew the path. Now maybe in the beginning he didn't know exactly what would happen.
Right.
But he probably knew that there would be warlike activity, right?
Well,
He probably knew
there would be the struggles of segregation. There would be the
Yes.
struggles of protest. There would be the struggles of getting equal rights, voting rights, a lot of things.
Yeah.
He saw that.
But what I love is he foresaw that. And when he saw that, what was his answer to that? It was riot and peace. I mean, he was all about peace and not getting violent and coming up with a solution. The other person that I think of when I think of visionaries is Gandhi. And Gandhi was a visionary. He served as a lawyer, a politician, and an activist in the struggle for social justice and for India's independence from the British rule. But he had a vision of peaceful living, just like Martin Luther King, but it was in a different way. And what I love, one of the quotes that I love the most about from Gandhi is, "You must be the change that you wish to see in the world." He turned adversity into advantage, and he spared India. Just the inhumility of China's revolutionary violence, and that was all because he had a vision of living more peacefully. And I can only think that that's because they had such detail and they knew exactly what that world looked like.
Yeah.
Um, Another important thing is to speak as if it's already happened.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
One of my favorite. One of
Now,
my
it has backfired because there's been many athletes saying that we're going to win the game today, and that's bulletin
Right.
board material, and it backfires on you. But there's nothing wrong with you personally visualizing you winning the game. You don't have to say everything out loud for the whole nation to hear.
Well, and you know what though? By them saying, maybe I'm a Super Bowl winner, doesn't mean it's going to be that year. Maybe it's in the future.
Right.
So just because it doesn't happen on your timeline doesn't mean you're not being successful. It just means not.
Right.
This isn't your time. Um, I have to go back to me working out, because when I get out there, I say I am an athlete. Otherwise, I would die. I would die. I mean, I've got a tough trainer, and
We'll help you get back in the house when you get home.
yeah, and then now I've got two trainers against each other, and one is like, "Oh, let me show you how much Pilates can do for you," and I'm not about ready to tell the other one I'm doing Pilates, because then she'll make it harder. But I have to tell myself every morning, I'm an athlete. I had to change that identity.
It's all about the mindset.
Yeah, and you already said share it with somebody.
Right.
Get a coach, an accountability partner, in order to be there. Make your vision so clear that your fears become irrelevant. Right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Because a lot of times when we start something new, it's so easy to quit because we think of the worst case scenarios and the worst situations, right? But you got to keep on pushing and keep on pushing, and you have to be able to see past that. Do you have any examples of that?
No, but we're in closing. Let's close on a couple things here. First of all, I know you have a couple more things, but also there's visualize your goals. Repeat in your mind on a daily basis, as Shannie says, what your goals are. Create a visionary board.
Yeah.
That is very helpful. I don't do those, but we kind of have a visionary board together, which Shannon creates.
Yeah,
that I look at from time that she has in her office.
We end up at the beach.
Right. But most importantly, don't let the setbacks be the drawbacks. Okay. Don't let the setbacks be your drawbacks of achieving your goals. Always stay looking forward. Don't look back. Yeah. Never, ever, ever look back. I was a look back guy. I always wanted to point out everybody else's faults and put the blame on everybody else. The only person you have to blame for not reaching your goals is yourself, because you've let the detractors, you've let the negativity, you've let whatever creeped into your line of thought process of creating and achieving your goals. So you stay focused on what your goals are. Don't let anything or anyone come between you and the goals you set, and you will be successful, not only in life, but in business, in marriage, as a father, as a mother. Just you will be successful. Just remember those things.
Yeah. And just a couple other things. Scott kind of talked about this earlier. Don't let others tell you what you can do. Don't let their limitations limit your vision, because people do that because they love you and they don't want you to be hurt, and they don't, I remember specifically one time when you had cancer, and I said that we're going to Mayo and we're coming back cancer free. And I was told, maybe you shouldn't say that, because if that doesn't happen, you're going to come back crushed. And I said, according to your faith, that shall be done. And that was our motto: according to your faith, it shall be done. We went out there, we told everybody that. And we believed that we could come back cancer free. I say we because I was with them every step of the way. It affected both of us. But the people around me love me a lot, and they wanted to prepare me for what if he dies. But that wasn't an option. He's going to die, but it's not going to be anytime soon, right? I've got too many goals that we're reaching. He has too many goals that he wants to reach. It's not happening.
This past Christmas, we reached a hurdle because this past Christmas was supposed to be my last Christmas, according to the people that thought they knew more than what we did when I became sick. And not only did we win this Christmas, but we're going to win next Christmas and the following Christmas and the following Christmas after that. My goal and plans are to watch my youngest son get married. My goal and plans are to watch our grandchildren get married. Yeah. And we have a lot of goals and plans for the next 25, 30 years. And I plan to be a part of that. And it's all about positive thinking.
It is. And it's crazy how high you can set your goals. I mean, I believe I can say we're going to be cancer free because my God can move mountains. Taking cancer out of my husband was no big deal, right? I want to leave them with a couple of quotes.
Go ahead, fire away.
And these quotes are from people that you will definitely know, but to me, when it comes to this subject, it just kind of nails it on the head.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, maybe you set some resolutions in the beginning of the new year, and maybe you've dropped those off and you've let them go already. It's not too late to pick them up again. It's not too late to get back on it, to start those habits, create those habits. So Helen Keller said, the only thing worse than being blind is having sight but no vision. I think that's huge. So many people just coast through life and settle. We aren't built to settle. We aren't made to settle. God created us to become the best. Yeah. I mean, I can't wait to see what God's version of my life is. And I'm like Ed Milet. I want
those people that are in a routine of just doing the same thing day after day. It's like being on an assembly line day after. They get miserable. They get bored. They become disinterested. That's when you make mistakes. But when you keep your eyes on the prize and you keep your vision, you will grow from that.
I agree. And then the last one I want to leave with you, just because he lived in Kansas City, Missouri. And I've actually been by the house that he lived in. And there's an old story that there was a mouse in his house. And that kind of set him off for his vision. But Walt Disney, he says, if you can dream it, you can do it.
Yep. Amen.
So write down those dreams and start planning. How are you going to achieve what you've dreamt of?
Like and share this podcast episode number 3. Well, no, this won't be number 3. This will be like
I don't know what you're doing.
Episode number 6. I'm sorry. Episode
maybe
6 or 7.
Not.
Yeah, I don't know.
This is up to the Andy Hoosier.
That's right. Wherever they throw it in the cycle, but we'll be recording a few more of these, and but we appreciate all the likes and shares and the comments. And also, if you like a topic that you'd like for Shannie and I to talk about, please put it in the comments, or you can email Shannie at.
Oh, you're going to have him email me?
Yeah, the coaching Shannie.
So sstylescoaching@gmail.com.
sstylescoaching@gmail.com.
And while we're on the subject, I just want to thank our sponsor, Styles Coaching. That's one of the sponsors, and this podcast is helping me to branch out and help other people reach their goals when it comes to health. And I'm so glad that we're able to do that, and we're able to do the podcast because of that.
So have a wonderful, wonderful week. Keep your eye on the prize. It's all about vision. It's all about don't get behind the 8 ball. If you have a bad day,
that's okay.
As Grandpa would say, hitch up so those britches even tighter, and let's get after it tomorrow. And we will talk to you again soon. On behalf of Shannie Styles, I'm Scott Styles. You've watched another great podcast called Mulligans. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great week, everybody.